Upon learning that Mo Huaining had bestowed a pot of crane's red upon me, I lowered my head to glance at my slightly bulging belly and asked the system desolately, "My mission is complete. Can I return to the real world now?" The system, however, used a glitch as an excuse and pulled a disappearing act. 11 years, like a dream of blooming flowers. I really feel sorry for myself. I accompanied Mo Huaining for years, turning him from an abandoned outcast in the cold palace into a crown prince about to ascend the throne, only to end up being granted death. Who knew that in the 6th year after my death, I'd actually be reborn as Mo Huaining's sister-in-law, Princess Consort Jing. At the 100 Flowers banquet, holding a cup of wine, he came up to me. "Lady Li, Watashi feel you look exactly like an old friend of mine. Watashi wonder if you would be willing to have a drink with Watashi." "Your Majesty jests. It is my utmost honor to be bestowed wine by your Majesty." I smiled radiantly, took the wine cup, and drained it in one gulp. Under everyone's astonished gaze, the ruler of the nation actually used the back of his hand to carefully wipe the remaining liquid from the corner of my lips. Those exquisite, refined brows and eyes were brimming with tenderness. "Shen Meilan, drink slower. No one is fighting you for it." Shen Meilan. When I heard Mo Huaining call out this name from my past life, my originally calm emotions were suddenly thrown into turmoil. My frantic heartbeat seemed like it was going to jump out of my chest, and even my breathing became ragged and stinging. I desperately tried to maintain my composure, my voice as faint as a gnat. "Your Majesty, this subject is named Lady Li." His gaze grew increasingly deep, as if possessing a magic that vowed to see right through me, making me dare not look him in the eye. I glanced at Prince Jing. This guy has always been a wimp in front of Mo Huaining, so wimpy he just giggles like an idiot. Seeing him like this, I could only lower my head, pretending to be uneasy, yet refusing to look at Mo Huaining in front of me again. After a while, Mo Huaining spoke, his voice deep and low, almost inaudible, yet the words he spoke made my heart pound with fear. "Of course I know you are of the Li clan. It's just that the name Shen Meilan sounds very pleasant. How about I bestow it upon you?" "Not good at all." I cursed 18 generations of Mo Huaining's ancestors in my heart. But I could only curse in my heart. After all, this is the Great Sui, and imperial orders are above everything. I had no choice but to kneel piously before him and clasp my hands. "This subject thanks your Majesty for bestowing the name. Long live my emperor, long live, long live." When I retreated to my seat, some people behind me couldn't help but start whispering, "Oh my God, do you guys know who Shen Meilan is? Isn't she that former crown princess? I heard when the emperor ascended the throne, he personally gave her a pot of poison wine to send her on her way." That's right. Not only was that crown princess made an exception to be buried in the imperial mausoleum, but every year on her death anniversary, His Majesty goes personally to chant scriptures, not eating or drinking for a whole day. I haven't heard that name in years. I heard no one in the palace dares to mention it. Ahem, who doesn't know? That name is a taboo in the palace. Anyone who mentions it recklessly will lose their head. To think His Majesty actually bestowed this name upon Princess Jing. The Emperor's mind is hard to fathom, who knows? Listening to the crowd's discussion, I secretly reviewed my actions just now. I suddenly realized with a start that some of my movements were exactly the same as in my previous life, and I wondered if Mo Huaining had noticed anything. I felt an inexplicable surge of guilt, but thinking it over carefully, I stayed by Mo Huaining's side for 11 years. Only to end up with a pot of crane's red poison, going to the Yellow Springs with the child in my womb. From start to finish, I never wronged him, so why should I be afraid? The one who should feel guilty and afraid should be him, Mo Huaining. Also, what did those people mean by what they were discussing just now? Mo Huaining made an exception to let me be buried in the imperial mausoleum, and even personally paid respects to me. What exactly are his intentions? When it was time to leave the palace, I looked around and found that Prince Jing was already nowhere to be found. A servant reported in a low voice. The prince drank too much and left arm in arm with his aides, ordering us not to follow. This Mo Huaining has always given the cold shoulder to Li. In the few months since my rebirth, I've already accepted his rotten temper. It's just leaving the palace alone, not a big deal. I just didn't expect that as soon as my sedan chair arrived at the manor gate, I would hear a sharp, shrill voice announce loudly, "The imperial edict arrives." I couldn't help but clench my fists, but after all, no matter how displeased I was, the imperial edict was already right before my eyes. Helpless, I could only have the servant women hurriedly tidy up my hairpins and jewellery, then step down from the sedan chair to receive it. It turned out that Mo Huaining was summoning me into the palace. Not only did he send an imperial decree, but he also had the eunuch delivering it bring a set of gorgeous clothes, ordering me to change into them before entering the palace. What exactly does he want to do? While sending regards to his ancestors in my mind, I let the servant women doll me up for 2 hours. When I came out and saw the spectacle for entering the palace, I nearly rolled my eyes back and passed out. 4 blood-sweating horses pulling a canopied carriage, 20 eunuchs and maids in tow, and at least 20 Jinyue clearing the way. This style, this pomp, search the entire Great Sui, and aside from the Empress, there's only me, right? Just what exactly is this Mo Huaining up to? After entering the palace gates, by rights, I should have gotten off the carriage and walked to the palace hall. Who knew those people would actually make me switch to a palanquin and carry me to Mo Huaining's bedchamber? When I saw Mo Huaining come out wearing his sleeping robes, I hurriedly covered my eyes, warning myself not to let my eyes wander. This subject's wife pays respects to the emperor. Long live my emperor. Long live, long live. Has this Mo Huaining gone mad? I am his sister-in-law now. Not only did he summon me late at night, he even dragged me into his bedchamber. Is he afraid there aren't enough impeachment memorials? I taught him so much about the way of a ruler in my past life for nothing. Has it all gone to the dogs? What, do you like kneeling that much? Mo Huaining had walked up to me at some point and spoke in a deep voice. Without a word, I stood up briskly. Unexpectedly, in the next instant, this guy suddenly reached out and seized my chin, forcing me to look up at his handsome face filled with coldness. The moment our eyes met, I couldn't help but sink into memories. 6 years have passed. He has changed from a dashing young man into a wise ruler who is decisive yet holds the world in his heart. During those years as a wandering spirit, I witnessed the arduous journey he took. Setting aside the matter of him granting me poisoned wine, he is a pretty good monarch. The smell of alcohol assailed my nose, pulling me back to reality. This person obviously drank too much. No wonder his behaviour today is a bit out of line. Lady Li, I had a dream. Mo Huaining suddenly pulled me close, his forehead pressing against mine, breaths mingling, so close we could even hear each other's heartbeats. In the dream, you were Shen Meilan. Only your soul possessed Lady Li's body. I was terrified out of my wits hearing this. Could it be that that damn system disappeared on me only to secretly enable cheats for Mo Huaining? Then, how should I deal with this next? Of the 36 stratagems, playing dumb is the best. I tried hard not to reveal too much fear, and using a gentle voice completely different from my past life, I spoke softly and weakly. Your Majesty, this subject's wife does not understand what you are saying. You will understand later. After Mo Huaining said that, he actually hoisted me onto his shoulder, then shut the bedchamber doors, forbidding anyone to approach. I was shocked to the core. He really has gone mad. With a loud thud, he shoved me down onto the couch. He was like a vicious wolf, radiating an intensely aggressive aura from head to toe. Those eyes staring at me were gleaming with a cold light. Startled, I raised my hand to block him, but he easily caught it with one hand. The robes on my body were stripped off one by one. The candlelight flickered, our shadows reflected on the bed curtains, tangling together in a blur. Those hands with thin calluses roamed wantonly over my body, sending waves of shivers wherever they touched. I gritted my teeth, holding back the shame that was about to spill from my mouth. Eyes tightly closed, not daring to look at the man in front of her, letting the shame wash over her entire body, just wanting to curl herself up as small as possible. "Heh, so sensitive." Mo Huaining chuckled lightly, suddenly lowered his head, took mine into his mouth, and bit down maliciously. "Tell me, does Prince Jing do this to you too?" I winced in pain, instinctively grabbing the top of the man's hair. Is this guy a dog? Back when I was Shen Meilan, it's not like we didn't have tender moments, but back then this guy was clearly shy as hell. It's only been 6 years and he stays away from women, so where did these moves come from? Seeing me actually zone out at a time like this, Mo Huaining increased his force in displeasure. I couldn't hold it back, and a shameful sound escaped my lips. "Don't tell me you're thinking of Prince Jing while underneath me." Mo Huaining's voice turned low and dangerous. My waist tightened, and I was ruthlessly pinned down by him. "You deserve to be punished." Just as he was about to enter me, I mustered all my strength and bit down hard on his shoulder. "Hisu." Mo Huaining winced in pain and hastily pulled out. Tears streamed down. What a vixen. Mo Huaining laughed instead of getting angry. Clutching his shoulder, he sat down cross-legged, his eyes staring at me darkly. I snapped back to reality, put on my clothes with trembling hands, climbed off the silk bed, and knelt down, bowing low. "I already have a husband. I absolutely dare not serve 2 husbands. I beg your majesty's forgiveness." I thought Mo Huaining would fly into a rage or kick me out of the palace, forbidding me from entering the palace for the rest of my life. Unexpectedly, after waiting for a moment, he actually just waved his hand and gave a casual order. "It's late today. You go back and rest first." I couldn't gauge his temper, so I could only board the palanquin with a heavy heart and leave the palace. "Princess Jing, this way please." Mo Huaining's personal eunuch smiled suggestively, calling out the name Mo Huaining had bestowed upon me, and helped me onto the sedan. Sigh, what a mess this is. I had just returned to the residence when I heard the sound of string music coming from the main hall. Strange, it's so late. Who is Prince Jing hosting? I turned and walked to the main hall. The music became clearer and clearer, accompanied by the teasing laughter of dancing girls. Looking from afar, Mo Huaining was pulling 2 advisors close, discussing something. Their faces were all flushed red, and everyone had a dancing girl with dishevelled clothes in their arms. Some were even holding 2. Those dancing girls were all pulling out all the stops, making some lewd moves. Mo Huaining likely let the booze go to his head. He didn't keep his voice down, so I heard some of it. Turns out these people were actually plotting something, and from the sound of it, it seemed to involve Mo Huaining. I crouched down to stay hidden, wanting to get closer to hear more, but unexpectedly stepped on a pebble and made a noise. Mo Huaining stood up, seeming to have sobered up halfway. "Who?" Seeing I couldn't hide, I simply walked out openly and bowed to Prince Jing. "Prince Jing, His Majesty summoned me to the palace, and I've only just returned to the manor. It's getting late. Why haven't you rested yet?" Prince Jing waved his hand, reverting to his usual spineless look, and gave a silly laugh. "We're all having a drink together. It's great fun." "It's fine now. You all go rest. It's getting late." Mo Huaining waved his hand, dismissing those. "Li Shi, come here for a moment." Mo Huaining shook his head back and forth, called me to the corner and looked me up and down, trying to spot some clue on my face. I wasn't the least bit panicked, letting him look, calm and composed. Back when I was accompanying the late emperor in seizing the throne and plotting for power, who knows which corner he was playing with mud in. As for which courtmaid his mother was that the emperor slept with, the late emperor had absolutely no impression, and I don't remember such a person either. The original body was the legitimate daughter of the capital's top noble family, the Li clan. As for Prince Jing, a lowly and unfavoured prince, the Li family didn't even think he was worth looking at. It was only later that the late emperor, for the sake of the Li clan's face, gave him the title of Prince Jing. And because the Li family ran into some trouble they couldn't avoid, they married their legitimate daughter over. The 2 of them had no affection to begin with, let alone that pitiful number of times they shared a bed. Relying on the Li family's connections, this Prince Jing finally managed to scrape together a bit of real power, mixing in the court like a fish in water. What did His Majesty call you into the palace for? Mo Huaining finally spoke up and stated his purpose. I didn't even look up, casually making up a reason. His Majesty was in a bad mood and summoned me to chat about the past. Mo Huaining didn't suspect any further. My lord, why haven't you rested yet when it's so late? It makes my heart ache so much to see you like this. It was Mo Huaiying's favourite side consort, Madame Zhao, coming over with tea and pastries. If nothing unexpected happens, Madame Zhao is about to cause me some unexpected trouble. Your Highness, these are the refreshments I personally prepared for you. Mo Huaining was overjoyed and hurriedly stood up to support Zhao Shi, though he chided her. There is no need for you to do these things yourself, just let the servants do it. Zhao Shi's face, like white jade, was filled with shyness. I just wanted to do something for your Highness. Mo Huaining enjoyed this immensely. Feeling greatly comforted, he stroked Zhao Shi's hand, unwilling to let go for a long time. Seeing this, Lady Zhao turned to look at me, flashing a provocative smile, yet her words were gentle. Sister, if you don't mind, why not have a taste too? She turned and handed me a cup of tea, and alarm bells went off in my head. Unfortunately, I was still a step too late. I had just reached out to take it when the scalding tea in Lady Zhao's hand actually poured onto the back of my hand, and I instinctively pulled my hand back. Lady Zhao, however, acted as if she'd been shoved, suddenly falling backwards. Ah, sweetheart. Mo Huaining dropped his teacup and rushed over, taking 3 steps in 2 to support Lady Zhao, but he was still a step too late. Lady Zhao is currently over 4 months pregnant. This fall of hers is no small matter. Mo Huaining turned around and glared at me viciously. Lady Li, you are so venomous. This king has tolerated you for a long time. After saying that, he stepped forward to hit me, but I dodged it with my sharp eyes and quick hands. I thought of the original owner's father. He was originally a high-ranking big shot, but one wrong move and he was out of the royal court. That's exactly what happens when the tree falls and the monkeys scatter. Mo Huaining simply stopped pretending altogether. Thinking he could push me around just because the original owner's father fell from grace, I stepped right up and gave Lady Zhao a vicious slap. Look closely, this is me hitting you. Lady Zhao clutched her face, crying as she collapsed into Mo Huaiying's arms. Your Highness, you must! I turned to the furious Mo Huaining and said, I bear the name of the late crown princess bestowed by the emperor. If Prince Jing wants to touch me, he needs to weigh the consequences. The name Shen Meilan is Mo Huaining's taboo. Who in the entire Great Sui doesn't know that? You won't be gloating for long. Mo Huaining pointed at me, yelling twice with false bravado, then carried Lady Zhao and walked out. Let's go, sweetheart. We'll go find the imperial physician right now to check on the babe in your belly. Mo Huaining does have some brains after all. He told Lady Zhao that he would simply buy a residence near the prince's manor and have her move there. I reckon he's afraid that this Lady Zhao might mess with me. No, to be precise, the fact that I was bestowed the name Shen Meilan is what's truly terrifying. I looked at the full moon beyond the eaves, but in my heart, I was pondering Mo Huaining's intentions. Is he treating me as a stand-in for Shen Meilan? Or did he really figure something out? I couldn't figure out what was on Mo Huaining's mind, and Mo Huaining was even harder to read. He might think that this name is like a curse placed upon me. Servants from the manor reported that Lady Zhao in the Water Moon Pavilion and Mo Huaining have been arguing for 3 days. It all started because Mo Huaining urged Lady Zhao to move out to nurse her pregnancy, but Lady Zhao refused. Mo Huaining didn't understand Lady Zhao's stubbornness, but I knew it perfectly well. Lady Zhao was simply coveting my position as Princess Jing, that's all. That night, I went straight to Prince Jing, claiming I had a good idea for Lady Zhao to nurse her pregnancy. Sure enough, Mo Huaining couldn't wait to summon me. I won't beat around the bush either. I'll get straight to the point. How about Prince Jing gives me a letter of divorce? I'm willing to let sister take the position of Princess Consort Jing. Mo Huaining has just won the emperor's favor. His official career is immeasurable. Plus, he's preparing to do something shady, so he probably doesn't want the matter of divorcing his wife to affect him. At this time, he absolutely won't agree to divorce his wife. Sure enough, when Mo Huaining heard me say that, he instantly flew into a rage out of shame. Preposterous. You are a princess consort of my great Sui, recorded on the jade tablets. How can you be cast aside on a whim? No one is allowed to mention this ever again. Hearing this, Mrs. Zhao cried as if her parents had died, tearing her heart out. But Mo Huaining was dead set on sending her away. Go, go, go. If you don't like that house, this prince will help you look at other places. You come with this prince to take a look. I took a leisurely sip of the fragrant tea, suppressing the bitterness churning at the bottom of my heart, thinking of the agony right before dying, thinking of that innocent child. My heart hurts like it's being sliced open. If my guess is right, Mo Huaining might be plotting a rebellion, wanting to be emperor himself. I don't know if Mo Huaining found something out, but he actually issued an order transferring Mo Huaining to Huizhou for disaster relief. With that stupid look of Mo Huaiying's, how is he cut out for disaster relief? But I couldn't be bothered with these trifles. Mo Huaining left, and Madame Zhao, knowing it was useless to stay in the manor, hurriedly moved out as well. I'm the only master left in the whole Prince Jing manor, and I'm happy to be carefree. Back when I was Shen Meilan, I worked day and night, handling everything inside and outside the court, and I even had to give lessons to Mo Huaining. Now that I've become Lady Li, I have more free time, so I have time to pick up my old hobbies. So I found time to make face masks myself and applied them every day. I also made yoga clothes and practiced yoga in my own yard. That day, I had just finished yoga and was sweating all over. I was about to go to the bathhouse to bathe when I suddenly bumped into someone. I looked up, and it was actually Mo Huaining wearing casual clothes. I subconsciously crossed my arms over my chest, wanting to escape, but unexpectedly stumbled. Almost fell, but was pulled into his embrace. Your Majesty, I am a married woman. I tried to keep my voice steady so Mo Huaining wouldn't notice anything unusual. But this guy didn't buy it at all. Instead of loosening, the hand around my waist tightened. He pressed close to my ear and breathed out a few words. Be good. Let's go inside and talk. Go inside? What room? This is my turf. Hey! Mo Huaining scooped me up in one motion, deftly avoiding all the guards. I took the opportunity of sending away the servants to escape from his embrace. Mo Huaining's expression wasn't looking too good. His gloomy gaze was fixed right on me. What exactly is your relationship with her? Why is it that the things only she knew, even you? He enunciated every word, making my heart tremble with fear, and I hurriedly shook my head to deny it. This subject's wife does not know what your Majesty means. I don't know which word angered him, but this guy suddenly gripped my waist, his scorching breath rushing over me. Shen Meilan, stop pretending. I know it's you. When those 3 words came out, I froze in terror, unable to move a muscle. Mo Huaining kissed me fiercely, his hands never stopping, quickly tearing my clothes. Those hands seemed to carry tongues of fire, searing me until I lost my reason. Meilan. He stared deeply into my eyes, his voice incredibly devout, as if he were looking at a rare treasure. I just felt my heart tremble violently. By the time I came to my senses, I realized I had already been carried to the bedroom by him. He had already stripped off all his casual clothes, and his entire body was pressing down on mine. His hands held my head, his forehead pressed against mine, and emotions surged in the depths of his eyes. Meilan, these past 6 years, I've really missed you. This was the first time he didn't refer to himself as Jen in front of me. He was like an injured elk, urgently needing someone to heal him. I dazedly endured the pain and pleasure he brought. After all, it had been a long time. I passed out several times, only to be tormented awake by him again. By the window lattice, the begonia flowers the maid picked in the morning shook all night long. In the early morning, I groggily opened my eyes, a handsome face magnified before my eyes. Before I could react, he continued kissing my cheek, then went all the way down. I instinctively raised my hands to resist, but he pinned my hands above my head. This bastard is really strong. I knew that if I kept resisting, he'd still get his way, so I just stopped fighting. How does that saying go again? If you can't resist, just close your eyes and enjoy it. It was another wild, sweaty session. By the time it was all over, it was nearly noon. He unhurriedly put his clothes back on, becoming that emperor who looks down on the world once again. I leaned against the headboard, watching his movements, and asked casually, "It was you who deliberately sent King Jing away for disaster relief, right?" Mo Huaining nodded. "There are some things I want to verify." He turned and held out his hand to me. "Meilan, I plan to travel incognito and take you to a place." As the words fell, Mo Huaining looked at me quietly, as if expecting something. After a whole night of tossing about yesterday, there was no point in denying it now. So I readily shook my head. "Your Majesty is travelling incognito. Taking a subject's wife along would only invite gossip." Mo Huaining laughed very heartily. Since I drank the Heidinghong, this was the first time I had seen such a sincere smile from him. "Rest assured, except for my confidants, no one will know." I really didn't expect that Mo Huaining would actually take me to Huizhou. He only brought along one palace expert, responsible for protecting his safety from the shadows. That palace expert named Zuo was even proficient in the art of disguise. Under his disguise, Mo Huaining became a young master from an ordinary family, while I became a plain-looking wife. Huizhou is mountainous. Along the way, I witnessed many refugees blocked outside the city, and my heart felt heavy. Mo Huaining brought me to an inn. The innkeeper seemed quite familiar with him. "Young Master Ning is here, still the sky room?" Mo Huaining smiled, wrapped his arm around my waist and nodded to the innkeeper. "Men, the sky room, 1 room." I looked up and instinctively refused. 2 rooms. Mo Huaining looked down at me, as if looking at a willful child. "Madam, you and I are one as husband and wife. Why should we stay apart?" Before I could speak, the innkeeper chimed in from the side. "That's right, ma'am. As the saying goes, couples fight at the head of the bed and make up at the foot. No matter how big the issue is, sleep on it and it'll be fine." My face instantly flushed bright red. Mo Huaining looked inexplicably cheerful and casually tossed a money pouch to the innkeeper. "In 2 hours, have the waiter bring in hot water." The innkeeper beamed with joy and responded with a knowing, "You got it." As soon as we entered the room, Mo Huaining couldn't wait to hold me and get intimate. I tried hard to push him away. "No, we've been travelling all day. I'm all sweaty and smelly. Wait until after a bath." Mo Huaining gently bit me, as if he had long predicted I would say that. "Don't worry, we'll wash after we're done. Your husband has already ordered the hot water in advance." So that's what he meant when he asked the innkeeper to send hot water earlier. But The rest of my words were swallowed by someone, and he wickedly went lower. "Meilan, and you said you weren't sensitive. Look, it's all your—" He showed me the glistening on his fingertips. "Stop talking." I was dying of shame and indignation, wishing I could dig a hole and crawl into it. Seeing me try to dodge, Mo Huaining's movements became even more unrestrained. By the time all that was done, it was already afternoon. I was so dazed that I didn't even know when he carried me to take a bath. "Are you okay? Can you still go out with me?" Seeing I didn't speak, he vowed solemnly, "I guarantee you'll be interested this time." Under his pestering, I still gave in. He got someone to bring the ointment for that place, applied the medicine to me himself, and only then took me out. This time, I disguised myself as a man and followed Mo Huaining to a locally famous brothel. "Are you sure you want to bring me to this kind of place?" My eyes almost popped out in surprise. The women in this brothel wear even less than the girls on the beach. "Look there!" Mo Huaining pointed casually. I looked over and actually saw Mo Huaiyao with a woman in each arm. Wasn't he here for disaster relief? Instead of doing things for the common people, he is actually here living it up and spending money like water. While inside Huizhou City, the disaster victims are not only displaced, but also starving. Inside the brothel, Mo Huaining asked for a high-class room, ordered a musician to play for me, and also ordered a table of food for me. You just wait inside. Don't wander off. I'll be back in a moment." I naturally agreed. Looking at Mo Huaining's expression, I could probably guess that he definitely came out to secretly investigate the disaster relief case. As expected, Mo Huaining found clues here that Mo Huaiyao had colluded with the local magistrate to make false reports about the disaster and take the opportunity to embezzle the court's relief money and grain. I whispered to Mo Huaining, "So the emperor knew everything." Mo Huaining immediately puffed out his chest, looking exactly like a child who had just been praised. I watched with amusement, only to get lightly bitten by him. Shocking those female musicians enough to play 2 wrong notes. Crap, I forgot we're both dressed as men right now. Seeing the wicked grin on Mo Huaining's face, without a second thought, I reached around to wrap my arms around his neck and gave him a hard kiss. This time, the female musicians were so shocked, they straight up snapped 2 strings. Mo Huaining sensed I was about to pull away, so he turned the tables and actively deepened the kiss. Not until I was kissed breathless did he reluctantly let go. Meanwhile, the female musicians went from initial shock to a look of total calm, even thoughtfully asking if we wanted them to clear the room. Back at the inn, Mo Huaining ordered the house specialty, salt-baked chicken. Out of habit, I picked out the chicken head, feet and butt, wrapped them up and set them aside, planning to give them to someone in need. Mo Huaining looked at me with a smile. "Meilan, this habit of yours hasn't changed a bit." I put the chicken breast meat he likes into his bowl. "Can't even food stop your mouth?" Mo Huaining looked at me and smiled, his eyes full of doting affection, and I couldn't help my heart skipping a beat. I'm really hopeless, even though I've looked at him for 2 lifetimes combined. Being stared at so intently by him still makes me blush and my heart race. "Your Highness, there is news." It was Mo Huaining's guard, who had been hiding in the shadows all along, suddenly appearing. He glanced at me cautiously, seemingly weighing whether he could report directly in front of me. "Madam is one of us, just speak your mind." Mo Huaining spoke up, so that guard clasped his hands in a bow and began reporting the news. It turned out they found out Mo Huaiyao was planning to take a pleasure boat ride on the moat tonight with the brothel's new top courtesan. "Madam, would you be interested in accompanying your husband?" Naturally, I didn't refuse. Anyway, even if I didn't agree, Mo Huaining would find a way to make me, as if I don't know his shitty nature. Night fell. After disguising ourselves again, Mo Huaining and I boarded a pleasure boat that had been booked in advance. Mo Huaining's plan was to have the boatman pretend to run into Mo Huaiyao's pleasure boat by accident. "Madam, look at the..." Before Mo Huaining finished his sentence, a sharp glint of a blade flashed in my peripheral vision. The vigilance engraved in my bones from my past life made me instantly alert. The sound of something tearing through the air rang out, fast and urgent, rushing straight at us. Subconsciously, I shielded Mo Huaining behind me. The hidden weapon sank straight into my chest, the pain making it impossible for me to say a single word. Shen Meilan. Before falling unconscious, I heard Mo Huaining's heart-wrenching scream. The fact that he could still shout meant the assassin failed the strike and had already left. He was safe. With that thought, I slipped completely into unconsciousness. I guess I must have owed him in my previous life and the life before that. Otherwise, how come I can't escape the fate of taking a blade for him? Whether as Shen Meilan or Lady Li, I have died for him. I seem to have had a very, very long dream. One moment, I was Shen Meilan, navigating the royal court and the battlefield. The next moment I became Lady Li, a bystander to her and Prince Jing's love-hate saga. When I woke up again, I almost thought I saw a homeless man. Mo Huaining had a scruffy beard, his clothes barely covered his body, and his face was haggard. How was this any ruthless and decisive emperor? He was practically a homeless man from under a bridge, no doubt about it. Seeing I was awake, Mo Huaining's eyes burst with wild joy, but fearing he might scare me, he held my hand with restraint, his voice choking up several times. "Meilan, in your dreams you kept calling out for our child. Mo Huaining, stop bringing that up." I finally broke down wailing. Some grievances once released can no longer be held back. Yes, I am much older than you, and I know you minded my age back then. You always called me an old hag. Your imperial father was my sworn brother. By all reason and sentiment, we weren't suitable to be together, but later I still became your crown princess, and when we did that kind of thing, you didn't even deign to look at my face. You always said you were too shy. You weren't shy. You were afraid of having any emotional entanglement with a woman who wasn't much different in age from your mother consort. I finished saying all this in one breath. My heart felt like a huge hole had been torn open in it, and even breathing felt like swallowing glass shards. It's been 2 lifetimes, and I finally said all of this out loud myself. Even if Mo Huaining develops a rift with me again because of this, I still have to speak my own feelings. Whether in the last life or this life, I don't owe anyone anything anymore. It's not like that, Meilan. It's not. Mo Huaining held my hand, explaining desperately, his voice choking with tears. Giving you the red-crowned crane poison wasn't my doing. It was the Grand Empress Dowager. Huh? I froze for a moment. The Grand Empress Dowager. Isn't that Mo Huaining's imperial grandmother, the late emperor's mother? So it was that old hag. That woman, I never liked her. I can still clearly remember, the night I became the crown princess, she came to have a long heart-to-heart talk with me. In every word, she implied that my status was lowly and I wasn't worthy of Mo Huaining. But since that child was stubborn, the old woman hoped I would leave Mo Huaining on my own initiative. But Mo Huaining's father, the emperor, had always supported me. Back then, when the relationship between me and Mo Huaining was suddenly exposed, he was the first person to disregard ethics and social norms and firmly stand by me and Mo Huaining. Shen Meilan, believe me. Mo Huaining embraced me and began rambling on about his longing for me over these past 6 years. From disbelief to his breakdown after seeing my corpse and holding onto it tight without letting go. If it weren't for the eunuch who grew up with him pleading with his life, Mo Huaining wouldn't even have been willing to let me enter the mausoleum. For a long time, Mo Huaining was completely devastated. It wasn't until he uncovered the culprit behind all this that he pulled himself together to avenge me. 3 days passed like this. I felt my health had improved, and since Mo Huaining had gathered plenty of evidence regarding Mo Huaiyao's crimes, we planned to return to the manor. On the official road, his carriage drove discreetly toward the palace, while mine headed for Prince Jing's residence. It was just when Lady Zhao was in labour, yet Mo Huaiyao didn't even come back, so I was happy to enjoy the peace and quiet. I was all alone with the maids and older servants, free and at ease in the manor. It was just that Mo Huaiyao would occasionally have someone bring a verbal message. For example, "This prince is not in the manor, the princess consort must behave herself." Or perhaps, "Once this prince finishes accompanying Lady Zhao through childbirth, I will return. The princess consort must remember to preserve her virtue," and the like. I never took these matters to heart, let alone treat Mo Huaiyao's messages as imperial decrees. Mo Huaining and I both knew that the forces behind Mo Huaiyao were deeply entrenched and intertwined. Now was not the time to move against him. Mo Huaining never fights a battle he isn't sure of. If he's going to make a move on Mo Huaiyao, he must be fully prepared. I got up today and was having my meal when I inadvertently heard a maid mention that today happens to be the 6th anniversary of my death. I couldn't say why, but I suddenly felt that everything was dull and meaningless. Neither the meal before me nor the surrounding scenery could catch my eye anymore. I didn't even have dinner before I went to rest. Who knew that before I could even close my eyes, a servant came to report that the emperor had arrived. I hurriedly went to the door to welcome him, but was pulled right into his arms. "Is the injury any better?" he asked with concern, his eyes filled with care. I nodded. "Much better, it's nothing." Remembering the maid's words, I couldn't help but bring it up. 6 years ago today. Shh, don't speak. Mo Huaining pressed a finger against my lips, passion surging in his eyes, and the atmosphere around us suddenly heated up. The surrounding eunuchs retreated with great situational awareness. Mo Huaining swept me up in his arms, and my sleeping robe fell open off guard, revealing a tantalizing view. His gaze grew increasingly scorching, and without even waiting to reach the bed, he buried his head and began to indulge himself. Having gone without for a long time, I was naturally craving it too. For a while, the room was filled with only blush-inducing wet sounds. Just after finishing a satisfyingly intense session, I went completely limp in Mo Huaining's arms, not wanting to move even a single finger. Suddenly, a knocking sound rang out from outside the room, urgent and fierce. Then, it turned out to be Mo Huaiyao's voice coming through the door. "Li Shi, why did you lock the door?" "This prince has urgent business with you. Hurry up and open the door." I was only startled for a moment, but I reacted quickly. "Your Highness, I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to sleep now. Let's talk tomorrow." Mo Huaining leaned close to my ear, deepened the kiss, and ground against me maliciously, making me involuntarily let out a soft moan. "Little. Serving this prince is your duty, yet you dare to make excuses. You're rebelling. You're truly rebelling." Mo Huaiyao walked away, cursing and swearing. The one on top of me bit my earlobe, his voice full of jealousy. "Heh, his side consort just had a baby and he wants to come get intimate with you. I absolutely forbid him from touching you." With eyes silky with desire, I lightly bit his bobbing Adam's apple, and the man instantly let out an involuntary sound. Is this called a monarch seizing his subject's wife? A trace of extremely heavy lust flashed through Mo Huaining's eyes as he pressed down. My mouth was blocked by his lips and tongue. It was another round of reckless debauchery. On this day, the moon was dark and the wind was high. I was just about to take off my hairpins and go to sleep when Mo Huaiyao suddenly burst in looking dishevelled, grabbed my hand and ran out. "Hurry up and run for it with this king, don't pack anything." I was shocked inside, but with Mo Huaiyao right in front of me, I couldn't ask anyone, so I could only restrain myself and keep him steady. "王爷，您起码先告诉妾身发生了何事?" Mo Huaiyao downed a large glass of water and explained the situation to me in a few words, though he left out the beginning and the end. It turns out he really did collude with enemy spies and join forces with the rebel army to stage a coup in the palace. But Mo Huaining had long been prepared. He had laid an ambush, waiting to catch them all in one fell swoop. Except for a few key ringleaders who were captured, the rest of their group were killed without mercy. The palace is now a river of blood with corpses littered everywhere. He managed to escape by taking advantage of the chaos. "Lady Li, I care about our past affection, so I risked death to come out and take you away. You'd best remember this prince's kindness." He stared at me meaningfully. I pretended to agree to run away, but actually deliberately kept dawdling to stall for time. Sure enough, Mo Huaiyao grew impatient. Seeming to hear a noise, he could no longer bother with me, turned around and ran. I wonder if he took Lady Zhao and her newborn baby with him. But soon I didn't have time to think about that, because one of Mo Huaining's ministers had already led troops to surround the entire manor. "Take this woman away, send her into the palace to claim the reward." He looked smug, and seeing that I didn't put up any fight, he became even more triumphant. When we arrived before Mo Huaining, this man spoke up brazenly. "Your Majesty, Prince Jing has rebelled and is nowhere to be found. Princess Jing is also under suspicion, so why not hand her over to the court of the imperial clan for interrogation?" I looked at that man sitting high and mighty on the main seat. He snorted coldly, raised his head to stare at that minister. "Minister Wang, do you want to take a look at this first?" He threw the thing in his hand onto the ground. Although that minister was puzzled, he didn't dare not pick it up, so he hurriedly opened it. Mo Huaining spoke unhurriedly, yet his tone was full of the oppressive aura of a superior. "Minister Wang, you worry too much. Princess Jing, Lady Li, was on bad terms with Prince Jing, and the prince was very dissatisfied with her. So the month after they married, a letter of divorce was delivered to me here. It's just that I've been busy and haven't announced it." In order not to affect his career, Prince Jing had him not move out of the manor for the time being. Mo Huaining's move allowed me to quickly clear myself of suspicion. Since Prince Jing was purged and his mansion was taken back, Mo Huaining took the opportunity to allocate a house for me. That house sits right on Parrot Avenue. It looks small, but actually there's a whole world inside. Just as dusk fell, Mo Huaining arrived here with his personal guards, draped in the sunset glow, and reached out his hand to me. "Let's go, I'll take you somewhere." I never expected that Mo Huaining would actually take me to visit my own mausoleum. It was built very magnificently, and he even enthusiastically recounted to me what he was thinking when he had it built. When I saw that empty spot, I understood without him having to say a word. I was thinking, since I couldn't walk with you to the end while alive, I'd definitely have to go down and keep you proper company after death. After Mo Huaining finished speaking, he suddenly changed the subject. "But now I've changed my mind. In a few days I'm going to fulfill my vow before the Buddha, because you're back." My heart warmed, but I didn't want to let a certain someone get too smug. "Mo Huaining, just go be a good emperor. I'm not interested in joining your harem or anything." He raised his eyebrows, lowered his head, and kissed me. The sunlight slowly rose from behind him. It was a brand new beginning, full of hope. Side story. Mo Huaining. When Mo Huaining first saw Shen Meilan, he was still just a 7-year-old child. His mother consort was gone, and he was starving in the cold palace, reduced to skin and bones. He just felt that this woman, who clearly looked not much different in age from his mother consort, was even more beautiful and dazzling than her. In his memory, the first time he met Shen Meilan was in a corner of the cold palace. Approached by following the smoke and the smell of roast meat, sure enough, there was someone roasting something to eat. Mo Huaining's figure wasn't much taller than the weeds in the cold palace, but Shen Meilan still spotted him at a glance. She raised the roast chicken in her hand towards him. Mo Huaining instinctively took 2 steps back, his tone wary. "What do you want?" Shen Meilan said to him, "Hey, Mo Huaining, don't look at me like that. My name is Shen Meilan. I'm sworn brothers with your dad. His throne, us brothers helped him win it." Mo Huaining looked around, a mere 7-year-old, not moved by Shen Meilan's words in the slightest, reacting extremely fast. "What did you come looking for me for?" "Look at you, you poor little thing. Naturally, I'm here to play with you." She handed the roast chicken to him. Mo Huaining knew better than to eat food from a stranger, but he was starving. Even if this was the end of him, at least he'd be a well-fed ghost. He buried his little head and started wolfing down the food. Shen Meilan laughed from the side. "Slow down, no one's going to snatch it from you." Time flew by, and the grown-up Mo Huaining was urging Shen Meilan from the side. "Shen Meilan, slow down, no one's going to snatch it from you." As for memories of his childhood, as long as they were related to Shen Meilan, Mo Huaining always remembered them particularly clearly. When he fought crickets, Shen Meilan would come over on her own initiative to teach him how to fight. When he used a dry branch to draw on the ground, Shen Meilan would teach him how to draw. He just felt that Shen Meilan was quite different from the people he knew. She also didn't have a single trace of his mother consort's virtue and gentleness. She always said things he didn't understand and did things he couldn't figure out. She also kept muttering the word system. Moreover, she personally taught him some courses such as ideology and morality, morality and rule of law. He listened with great interest. Gradually, the cold palace was filled with laughter and joy. Later on, he grew up a bit, and she took him out of the cold palace with her. She helped him go from an unremarkable prince to gradually showing his brilliance in front of his imperial father. She taught him how to battle with wits and courage, and would even stand up for him. He grew into a young man, and with the erotic drawings and Spring Palace albums he secretly looked at, he gradually came to understand the affairs between men and women, and also developed thoughts he shouldn't have about the beautiful her. The boy grew up like a gust of wind. Shen Meilan taught him many things, yet the one thing she didn't teach him was how to properly express his love. On the surface, he cursed her as an old vixen and avoided her, but actually, he was secretly suffering too. In the 16th year of the Great Sui, Mo Huaining was named Crown Prince, and Shen Meilan naturally became the dynasty's first female grand tutor, responsible for assisting him. Spending morning and night together, The feelings in their hearts became uncontrollable just like that. They went from bickering to confessing their feelings to each other. Their first time was on the day of that palace banquet, when Mo Huaining had drunk too much. He had always been calm and self-restrained. His loss of control happened because a palace maid wanted to climb into his bed, so she deliberately mixed deer blood wine into his drink. Before finding Shen Meilan, Mo Huaining literally bit the tip of his tongue until it bled, refusing to collapse. His last shred of reason told him that, other than Shen Meilan, he would absolutely not touch any other woman. The two spent all their time together, so it was truly too easy for him to find her. Right there in the pavilion in the center of the lake, where they often went together, everything happened naturally. But Mo Huaining never expected that after it was over, Shen Meilan's expression would be so sorrowful. "I know you think I'm too old, so you never looked at my face from start to finish." He didn't know how to answer her. He was afraid of saying the wrong thing, so he simply chose to avoid the issue. Later on, it happened between them a few more times. You couldn't say who seduced whom or who made the first move. Basically, everything just happened naturally, until the affair was exposed. But the retired emperor still supported Shen Meilan becoming his crown princess. Suddenly winning the girl he fancied, the boy felt uneasy in his heart because he didn't know how to face this relationship. He was shy and bewildered. He suddenly felt very inferior. She was so good, so outstanding, so brilliant. Even the imperial father listened to her. But what about him? Mo Huaining was immersed in his own emotions and didn't notice that gossip was already swirling all over the palace. They said Shen Meilan had not only turned from a pheasant into a phoenix, but was also an old cow eating tender grass. Her age was enough to be his mother consort. They said all kinds of nasty things. It was just a difference of a dozen or so years. Why did they have to think like that? Mo Huaining didn't understand. It wasn't until the news of Shen Meilan's death came that he even noticed these rumors. When Shen Meilan died, she was still carrying his child. Like a madman, he ran to his imperial grandmother to question her. All that greeted him was a slap. "Vile spawn. In this world, what kind of woman can't you have? Why is it Shen Meilan? If not for your imperial father protecting him with all his heart, I would have taken her life long ago." That slap completely killed the only obsession deep in Mo Huaining's heart. From then on, his heart died, and the world gained a wise ruler. He always made time to go to her mausoleum to chant scriptures and copy out eulogies for her. He'd tell her so many of his innermost thoughts. Mo Huaining felt so useless. Why was there so little he could do for Shen Meilan? Until the 6th year after losing him. He had a dream. It was very realistic. The Shen Meilan in his dreams, the current Princess Consort Jing, Lady Li, is the person he has always been longing for. So he decided to give it a try. Even though it was rebellious and reckless, Mo Huaining wanted to do it. Otherwise, he'd go crazy. Sure enough, the way she downed that glass of wine was just like always. "Shen Meilan, drink slower. No one's fighting you for it." His beloved was right within reach. "Shen Meilan, I won't let go of you again. Life after life, never to be apart."